Michael, 2-11 to 12 points to Galway. They're through to the Connacht final. What did you make of the game?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't a great game, all told. I suppose conditions made it very difficult with the rain we had here before the match, especially, and even all the way through. Um, it kind of hindered performance, and there was lots of turnovers and drop balls and that. But Galway, from a Galway perspective, they'll be very happy just to see out the game quite comfortably in the end. And Roscommon, on the other hand, would be disappointed that they had some chances in the first half, a little bit wasteful from play early doors in the first half, and just only registering 4 points in the second half then will be the real problem they'll have had with that, and how they just kind of petered out a little bit.
Yeah, it started very slow, obviously down to the conditions here. There was torrential rain here at times. There was just like 2 points, I think, in the first 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, it was very slow, and you're right. It was just as much the players might have warmed up, and it wasn't as bad, and then the heavens opened. So it's just a case of finding your bearings a little bit as a player and just getting comfortable on the ball, and I suppose not wanting to make a big mistake early on, because for both teams, having got relegated in the league and for aspirations in championship, they didn't want to make any silly mistakes early on. It was a high stakes game today, and that fed into the kind of cautious nature of the first half.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a big game. It's Galway Roscommon. You know all about that. It's tough. It's physical. I'm sure you had many battles.
Yeah, absolutely. There's never anything spared in championship when you're playing your nearest neighbour, and there's lots of those big hits there. The tempo was raised. There was yellow cards were being dished out a little bit, in particular at the start of the second half. So both teams didn't shy from it. It's what you want to see come championship, and that's part and parcel of it, and it's what the players love, in fact.
Galway led the whole way through, but I thought Roscommon, they sort of set up quite defensively.
Yeah, they did. They were happy enough to get everyone behind the ball at times, as were Galway, maybe keeping one or two up, not necessarily always retreating 15 behind the ball. So that was the nature of it. That's kind of how they wanted to shut down the game, and it helped. It kept scoring reasonably low. Like, Galway didn't shoot the lights out either, but when you're doing that, you got to be able to go the other way. And when the ball is turned over, you have to be able to bomb forward and get ahead of the defensive line that the opponent has to try and create scores. And that's where Roscommon probably struggled today, just in terms of getting up and down the pitch like that. It wasn't fluid, and it just left them, chasing scores. And at the very end there, it had resorted to just kind of going long. I suppose when you're 4 or 5 points down as well, just going long and hoping for the best. But that's not really going to break down the top teams unless you're awful pox lucky.
And in the midfield, Roscommon, they're quite strong. Like the likes of Enda Smith, he doesn't get talked about enough, I don't think. He was seriously strong out there today. He scored 3 points, or 4 points I think it was actually in the end. He's very dominated for them.
Yeah, he had a great game today. He worked hard. He got super scores in both halves. He fielded, he contested in the middle of the field, and I can recall at one stage there, and the game was still in the melting pot. Peter Cook was bearing down on goal, I think, and he managed to get attacked from behind. He dispossessed him with the ball, and it was a serious goal chance at that time. So he put in a great shift for Roscommon. He always does, and I think out around the middle of the field suits him. He gets that little bit more space to operate, and it wasn't for the want of his trying today.
And Matthew Tierney, we'll speak about him for a minute. 20 years old. He played in the under-20s last year, made his debut today. He scored 1-3. He got the goal, soccer style, into the back of the net. Unbelievable.
Yeah, delighted for him. He's a super young prospect. He seems to be a very level-headed kind of guy. He's he got his All Ireland under-20 medal last Christmas, and he's moved into the senior team quite easily, and he's met his place, and no one's going to take it off him by the way he's playing. Very reliable free taker off the ground. He's got a big boot on him, and that's a help. That takes the pressure off Shane Walsh as well, that he doesn't have to kick off his left and off his right any given day, because we've seen today, and even up in Monaghan, he kicked the pressure free. That he's very good off the ground, and very calm and composed with that goal chance. It was a nearly a lost chance for Galway, that there was a bit of a hesitancy with some passing, and eventually it broke down, and he knew what to do. He found the corner of the net.
And you mentioned Shane Walsh there. He came off there at the end, and I was speaking to Pork Joyce. He said it's a bit of a niggle on his hamstring. So we're not sure yet how he'll go, if he'll be back for the final. You know yourself all about injuries. It's tough, mentally to get yourself back. It's a long road.
Yeah, so, and that kind of soft tissue injury, 3 weeks to a Connacht final against Leitrim or Mayo. It's they're not the things you need in the back of your head, but hopefully he got off before any major damage was done. It may have been a tightness, or if it was anything more severe, then he could be under a lot of pressure. Like Shane, it was influential today. He covered a lot of ground, and he laid off a lot of ball, and he brought Galway players into it today. So I think he had a good influence on the game while he was out there. And Galway's prospects with Shane in the team are far better than when he's not. So they'll be working very hard to kind of get him right. And Shane himself, we just need to know, like, as captain as well, there's a lot of pressure on him, or a lot of expectancy on him. But he's the kind of fella that doesn't phase. So hopefully the injury and any issues that might bring for him if he's to miss time now, that he can just work with the physio teams and the S&C coaches and just be ready if he can turn it around in time for Mayo.
And if people are watching this video now, they'll think it was a lovely day here today, but it was anything but. It was literally torrential rain. Yeah. And you mentioned up in the press box, do you like playing in the rain?
Yeah, maybe not torrential rain now, but it just and at the start of the match, it was just horrendous stuff. And there was splashes of water every time the players ran now. So in fairness, the pitch held up well, and it's a super surface out here. But the rain is I suppose it has a cooling effect. If you have to reel up and down a high intensity game, if there's that little bit of rain falling on your shoulders and your head, it just kind of, you're not gassing as much for air. And it was primarily that. I think the better players stand out in the rain as well, in terms of just the finesse of the skills and the touch. It's really challenging on a day like today. And there was lots of loose ball and turnover, but there was huge pressure on players today, and we saw lots of elements of high skill and clean catching and possessions as well. So the players deserve a lot of credit today.
And Galway, they're bringing on a lot of new lads coming off the bench. A lot of subs got a run as well. It's really a new Galway team coming through.
It is, yeah. I think I made a comment to Joe earlier on the radio that, like, if you go back to 3 years ago, there's only 3 of the Galway team who played, 2 years ago against Roscommon. There's only 3 of that team. Right. And if you go back to last year against Mayo, I think it was 7 I had who started that game last November that started today. So, but there's a new management in that time frame going back to the 2-year cycle, and Porrick is bringing through different types of players. And like when you look at some of them there today, the Matthew Tierneys and lads like that, the Kelly brothers as well, although Sean is not new to the Galway scene, but Paul, his brother, was made his debut last year. They've settled in really well, as a couple of examples of those changes. So yeah, when you can bring in lads like that, it's great. It's a huge benefit, and you couple that with the experience that still is there in Shane Walsh and Damien Comer and Paul Conroy and lads like that. So there's a good mix there.
And looking ahead now to the final, we don't know yet if it's Leitrim or Mayo. It'll be a tough battle either way. I'm
sure it will. We've seen what Mayo were able to do to Roscommon, and if Mayo turn up in a similar frame of mind, it's going to be very difficult for Leitrim to ask them the hard questions. But I've no doubt they're going to give it everything, and no more than coming to the Hyde. Anytime you go to Park Sean McDermott, you know about it too. But the gulf in the leagues and the gulf in class there, you'd expect that it's going to be a Mayo Galway Connacht final in Castlebar, and it's a huge game, for both counties. Mayo coming back from the All Ireland final last year, and just it's a great opportunity for Galway to kind of come at them again now, and just something as a player. It's a game you can really look forward to and get yourself up for, because it's a straight knockout. It's the old in style football championship that we have, and there's something in that as well. Like, it just really is all or nothing. And you'd love it as a player to have that the next 3 weeks, preparing for that. And if you are going to Castlebar, you're going to be going in as an underdog as well. So from a Galway perspective, there's a great opportunity in that. And from Mayo, they're just building. They're doing what they do. They'll be expecting to beat Leitrim. They'll be expecting to beat Galway, and looking further than that. So it promises. It has great promise to be a big game.
And just speaking on the knockout, it's so tough. It's devastating. I was speaking to Anthony Cunningham there, the Roscommon manager, after the game, and he's devastated to put in all this work. And he said people don't realise how much work actually goes in for one game. Yeah,
it is, and I suppose you'd love for the back door to have been worked into this. I I suppose when the decisions were being made last spring, things were very different, and they had to make a call. So, look, I think it's there to be embraced, and I know it's very easy to say that from the sidelines when you're not involved, but and it's terribly difficult now for all the teams who are going to go out today or who went out last weekend. I think it's going to be 14 gone by the end of today, and that's really tough. But I suppose it is only. We're fairly sure this is the last time it's going to be that case, and maybe there'll be a new focus, and maybe new plans can be put into place as to how the championship might work going forward. Just to even you could argue even one backdoor game isn't enough. Two chances isn't enough. Can there be changes on the format going forward? I'd say there's something coming down the tracks. I'd hope there is from the playing point of view of the player, that when they do, and the management, when they do put in all that effort, they'll get their league games. But they need a championship format that kind of gives them a chance to have maybe 2, 3, 4 games minimum. And I know I'm contradicting what I said a few minutes ago about the beauty of the knockout, but it's just yes, and it's just the here and now. It's what we have, so you have to make the most of what you have.
Definitely. And it was absolutely lashed on, but we did have fans. They got lashed on, they got drenched. We even had a few up behind the goal there. They couldn't get tickets, but still stayed out in the rain to watch it. It's nice to have them back.
Oh, it's great, yeah. And there was a great bit of atmosphere there. In fairness for the 1,000 people that were here, and so much so I was given a point to Roscommon that didn't even go over when I was talking to Joe on air, because the crowd from the locals here kind of convinced me that it had gone over between the posts. But yeah, it's massive, and even what we saw, you just hopefully it can just be, fast forward, and the numbers can grow and grow, and safely between here now and the duration of the championship.
So it's Galway that'll win the Connacht final.
I don't know. You look, it's as a
Galway man.
As a Galway man, absolutely. But we kind of have to see what happens. Where's Cillian O'Connor in all this? If he's out, he's a huge loss for Mayo. Where's Shane Walsh in 3 weeks' time? And there's lots of factors at play. But certainly you're going to go down there with a bit of excitement, and you're going to say, we're going to give them a rattle.